Haribol, Hare Krishna. So today we will be having our Pandava Sena Holy Name Week program. Just before we start the program itself and the kirtans, just a little brief introduction. So this Holy Name Week actually commences from the 17th of September, which is the Wednesday this time, and it starts when Srila Prabhupada actually set foot in America, and of course, this movement is spreading through the power and the potency of the holy name, so it's very significant as well. When Srila Prabhupada came, he only came with a trunk full of Bhagavatam books, a little bongo drum, and 40 rupees or something like that, and it's very little amount. And he started off this whole Sankirtana movement in Tompkinson Square Park with his little bongo drum as he was playing, and he was singing the holy names of the Lord, and that's what started off this movement. And so it's very significant to all of us, and that's why we of course take time to commemorate it. And of course you may have heard of the Fortunate People campaign, which is where we're trying to get, I think, 1% of the whole world's population to chant the holy name of the Lord. So via social media, sharing it, promoting it more and more, and nominating more and more people to sing. We're just trying to encourage people to chant the holy name and perform what in what's now called mantra meditation, and it's given all these other fancy names, but in the end of the day, it's just kirtan and sankirtan, just to soothe the mind, calm ourselves, and also as yoga. In the end of the day, yoga means to connect, and it's to connect with Lord Krishna, to connect the spirit soul to the place where they need to be able, to the place where they need to connect, which is the Supreme Lord. And so, without further ado, we'll just before that we start the program. Actually, this program is just going to be several kirtans, several little talks from other speakers and seniors in the congregation, so we can take little jewels of wisdom from them. And yeah, we hope that you enjoy. And if any offenses are made, please do forgive us. So without further ado, Dhruv, Madhav Kumar Prabhu Dhruv, are you online?
60 seconds. 60 seconds.
60 seconds, okay. And so what we're trying to do in this initiative is just, especially among the youth who are the most energetic, they're the most generally seen as the most energetic, most creative, and they have this sort of, I don't know, effervescence where they want to try and go and take over the world, and they want to be the coolest, and they want to enjoy. And so the reason that Srila Prabhupada actually goes and spreads this movement among the youth is because they are the ones who are actually seeking for happiness the most, and it's their sort of input and their sort of enthusiasm that also drives this movement as well. So that's why it's so significant, especially for us as Pandava Sena. Okay, Madhav Kumar Prabhu and Dhruv, I believe you are ready. I'm going to spotlight you now.
Hare Krishna.
Take us away.
The audio good?
Yes, the audio is great, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome, and very warm welcome again, and the World Holy Name Week festivals. We'll just try and put little kirtan together for the pleasure of all the devotees and the acharyas, and of course our dear Lord Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Narashaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prejaya Swami Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Bhashasya Desa Sarine Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani, Ora Bhakta Vrinda. Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani, Ora Bhakta Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Ora Bhakta Vrinda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Ora Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Ora Bhakta Vrinda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Ora Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Itai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. World Holy Name Week Festival ki jai.
Thank you very much, Dhruv, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, and others in the background. Was that Neelam Mataji?
Mum.
Oh, Aarti Mataji. Thank you very much as well, go Aarti Mataji. So I'm also realizing that Dhruv's now better than me at Mridanga, so that's a good kick for me to start practicing again. And we will now, before we carry on with Kirtan, we will just take a little bit of couple words of wisdom from some of the senior devotees in Manchester in between these Kirtans. And so I'd like to invite, if he is on already, His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu to just speak for 10-ish minutes or so on any glories of the holy name, any realizations he's had, any of his experiences, and just to encourage and motivate us in taking up the chanting and singing of the holy name. Dinabandhu Prabhu, if you're on.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Wonderful
Hare
to
Krishna.
be here. Thank you so
So
much.
10 minutes. I was going to say 10 minutes. You can give an injection in 10 minutes, not a full treatment.
Prabhuji, we sometimes give electrical shock treatments for milliseconds. So, thank you, Sumedh, and all the devotees here. One of the questions faced by devotees is, why do you chant loudly? Can you not chant softly in your mind? Why is the need to chant loudly? Why do you have to do kirtans on the street? Are you making a show of it? So this is a common question. I'm sure all of you have heard this. Now, my friends, this is not something new. This question was raised hundreds and thousands of years ago as well. And our Namacharya Haridas Thakur, was placed in a similar situation. So I would like to read an incident from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. This is from Adi Khand, chapter 16, and I'm reading from verse 267 onwards. So this is in Bengali. Kindly listen attentively, because some very interesting concepts are presented in this incident. हरिनादी ग्रामे एक ब्राह्मण दुर्जन हरिदासे देखी क्रोधे बलये वचन. So in Harinadi, there was an impious Brahman who once angrily said to Haridas, "Oye Haridas, eki vyabhar tumar, डाकी आये नाम लह की है तू इहार." So angrily he said, "Oh Haridas, what is this behavior? Why are you loudly chanting the names of the Lord?" Dakiya means to loudly chant. Why are you loudly chanting the names of the Lord? Mane mane jopiba eise dharma hoya, dadi alai te nama kona shastre kaya. So the injunction is that one should chant in his mind. Which scripture says that one should chant loudly? Karashiksha harinama daki alai te, Eita pandita sabha balah ihate. Who has taught you to chant the name of Hari loudly? Please give your explanation before this assembly of learned scholars. So I'm sure most of us have heard this objection from our own family members, friends, people on the street. You know, a lot of people come to the temple and they say, "Why do you chant so loudly? Which scripture says that one should chant loudly?" हरिदास बोले न ई हारयत तत्व, तोमरा से जान हरि नामेर महत्व. तोमरा सबार मुखे शुनिया से आमी, बलितेछि बलिबान ये बाकिछु जानी. So Haridas Thakur says that all of you assembled Brahmanas, you all know the glories of Lord Hari's holy names. Therefore, I have simply repeated and will repeat whatever I have heard from you. So Haridas Thakur is very humble. He is not answering in a challenging way. You know, generally when we are challenged, we become angry and we respond in a similar way. But please remember, Haridas Thakur is the Namacharya for the holy names. He is the authority on holy names. And Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahishnana. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. To chant the holy names of the Lord, we need 4 qualities: to be humble than a blade of grass, to be tolerant than a tree, to give all respect and not to respect from others. So Haridas Thakur, when challenged, he is saying, "Oh Brahmanas, you already know the glories of the holy name. You are just testing me. So I will repeat whatever I have heard from you." So very humbly and giving all respect to them, he is giving this response. So what is the response? Uchakari laile shata guna punya haya, doshata na kahe shastre guna se varnana. If one chants loudly, he gets 100 times more benefit. The scriptures never condemn loud chanting, rather they glorify it. So Haridas Thakur's response is that by chanting loudly, we get 100 times more benefit. And he quotes saying, Ucche Shata Gunam Bhavet. If one loudly chants the holy names of the Lord, he obtains 100 times more benefit than by chanting softly or remembering. Ucche means loudly, Shata Gunam, 100 times, Bhavet, benefit. You get 100 times more benefit. So that sinful Brahman, he asks him, Viprabale Uchanama Karile Uchara Shataguna Punya Phala Kihetu Ihara. So he says, how does one get 100 times more benefit by loud chanting? Please answer that. Okay, so the scriptures may say you get 100 times more benefit, but how exactly does that happen? Haridasa Bale Nashu Naham Mahashaya. So he's saying Mahashaya, you know, my great sir, very respectful. Please listen. Ye tattva ihara vede bhagavate kaye. So listen to the verdict of Vedas and Srimad Bhagavatam in this regard. Sarva Shastre Spure Hari Dase Rashmi Mukhe Lagi Laka Rite Vakhya Krishnananda Sukhe. So then he started explaining different scriptures in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. He says, Shuna Vipra Sakrita Shu Nile Krishna Nama Pashu Pakshi Kitayaya Shri Vaikuntha Dhama. Listen, dear Brahman, if even animals, birds, or insects hear the holy names from the mouth of a pure devotee, they will go to Vaikuntha. So that is the advantage of loud chanting, that those who cannot chant or those who are not willing to chant, those who are not willing to hear, even they will hear the holy names and they will go to Vaikuntha. So what is the evidence from scriptures in this regard? He quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:34-17. So the incidence is that Nanda Maharaj has gone to take bath in the Yamuna, and at that time, he came to Ambikavan on the bank of Saraswati river, and that time a snake begins to swallow Nanda Maharaj. So Krishna comes and touched that snake with his left foot. So immediately the snake becomes a divine living being, a Vidyadhar. And then he tells why he was cursed to become a Naga. And then he describes the glories of the holy name. So this is that verse. Yannam Grinan Akhilan Shrotrin Atmanam Evacha Sadyah Punati Kim Bhuyas Tasya Prashta Padahite. Anyone who chants your name purifies all who hear his chanting, as well as himself. How much more beneficial then is the touch of your lotus feet? So this is important. Yannam Grihinan Akhilan Shrutran Atmanam Evacha. By chanting, one can purify himself and others. Now, it automatically means that only when you chant loudly, you can purify others. If you chant in your mind, the Shrutrin word will not be there because no one else can hear. So here says, Yah Nam Agrinan Akhilan Shrutrin. Everyone will benefit. Atmanam Evacha Sadhya Punati Kim Bhuyas. Immediately they become purified. Tasya Prishta Padahite. Pashu Pakshi Kita Adi Balitena Pare Shuni Lei Hari Nama Tara Sabatare. Although animals, birds, and insects cannot chant, when they hear the holy names, they will be delivered. Japile Shri Krishna Nama Apane Se Tare Ucha Sankirtana Para Upakara Kare. If one silently chants the name of Krishna, definitely he is delivered. But if one loudly chants, then he delivers others also. Ateva Ucha Kari Kirtana Karile Shataguna Falahaya Sarva Shastra. Therefore, scriptures say that one gets 100 times more benefit by chanting loudly. And then he quotes another verse by Prahlad Maharaj from Naradiya Purana. Japato Hari Namani Sthane Shatagunadhika Atmanam cha punaticher Japan Shrotran Punaticha. One who loudly chants the holy names of the Lord is 100 times greater than one who silently chants, because those who chant silently purify only themselves, while those who chant loudly purify themselves as well as those who hear them. So I have only 10 minutes. There are some more verses, but I'll read out another verse, 287. Jiva pai now naravina sarva prani napare balite Krishna nama hena dhvani. Although all living entities have a tongue, only human beings are able to chant the names of Krishna. So tell me, Brahman, what is wrong with that activity by which living entities who have taken useless birth will be delivered? One person may maintain himself while another may maintain 1,000 people. So tell me, who is better? So this way, Haridas Thakur, he says that by quoting various scriptures, he's saying that loud chanting is beneficial for the chanter as well as for hundreds of other people. Even living entities who cannot chant will be delivered. And that is the mood of a devotee of the Lord. A devotee himself does not mind even going to hell if he can serve the Lord. But to he wants all the other living entities to benefit from from hearing the holy name, and therefore loud chanting is useful. In another place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Tapan Mishra in Bangladesh that what Tapan Mishra has a question: what is the purpose of human life? What should one do? Tell me one path. And Mahaprabhu says, well, in previous ages it was meditation, sacrifices, and deity worship. But in Kali Yuga, it is Harinam Sankirtan. It is congregational chanting of the holy name. Therefore, as devotees, we follow this path of chanting the holy names of the Lord loudly so that we benefit and everyone else benefits. We go back to Godhead and we take everyone else back to Godhead. Devotees are very compassionate. So therefore, people who do Sankirtan, people who do loud chanting, people who sit together and chant the holy names, they are actually following the purport of the scriptures. They are doing the Yuga Dharma properly. So next time anyone says, why are you chanting the holy names of the Lord? You can quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Puran. There are other Vedic scriptures as well. And you can say, well, that is what is recommended. The doctor has recommended this medicine, and therefore I'm taking it that way. What is your problem? Why do you want me to take it otherwise? Silent chanting is not recommended. So, my dear devotees, this is the holy name week, where for 1 week we will all be chanting loudly and sharing and distributing the holy name to people. Even though someone may not be willing, we'll be saying, please, sir, my great sir, Mahashay, please take the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you've done wonderfully. Only 10 minutes, as my brother was saying. We can't put too long, but even in those 10 minutes, you explained very nicely through various different angles from scriptures and etc. How the holy name is important and why we should chant loudly. Because, of course, as we were talking about in the beginning, if Srila Prabhupada came to America in 1966 and just sat in a little room and started chanting in his mind and started saying, oh, if I chant in my mind, this is the right way of chanting, then none of us would be here today. And so in that time in Tompkins Square Park, where he took that little bongo drum, he just had no other ulterior motive. He sat down in the middle of under the tree in Tompkins Square Park in, I think it's 1966, and he just starts playing this drum and he starts singing the name of the Lord. And that's what started off the Krishna conscious movement. That's what catalyzed this movement. And so that I think you explained very nicely the importance of humility. You gave the example of how we should take up that mood of service and how we can purify those around us as well as simply purifying ourselves. For those of you who don't know, well, everyone knows who Dinabandhu Prabhu is, but for those of you, if you didn't know, Dinabandhu Prabhu is a consultant psychiatrist, and he has been in Krishna conscious movement for 25 odd years, something like that, and he's very important and a core member of Krishna consciousness movement in Manchester. And a lot of the devotees who are here today, actually, he sort of trained them up and made them come to where they are today. And so we owe a lot to Dinabandhu Prabhu. So thank you very much, Dinabandhu Prabhu. I learned a lot from that as well. And I believe that the next person we have for Kirtan is Shyami. If Shyami is online, Shyami, Vijayalal Prabhu and family. Haribol.
Haribol.
So
My dad's running a little bit late, but he'll be here in a second.
Okay, sure.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashachade Shatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Jai. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Shami. I believe Gaurahari as well on Mridanga, and also Vijayalal Prabhu. Thank you so much for your team effort. Haribol, Hare Krishna Prabhu. And before actually you turn your camera off, Shami, is it okay if I just put Vijayalal Prabhu, if I put you on the spot for a second? Would you be able to say maybe one or two words just on the glories of the holy name, or just something very simple, not necessarily a lecture, but just something very simple, because you are a senior member of this congregation, so it'd be important to ask. Pandava Sena.
So we're all very much missing going out on Harinam Sankirtan, which is the life and soul of the Hare Krishna movement. So as we all know, that the goal of the Hare Krishna movement is that we can chant these holy names without offense, and therefore it becomes a sublime method of loving God. So whilst we are in the conditioned state, we are chanting as a regulative principle, but at some point it will become spontaneous, and subsequently we can dance and chant with so much love, so much ecstasy, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would do with his followers. And the qualification to reach that stage is that there must be a cultivation of love in the heart, which automatically makes us surrendered. So without these holy names, the heart cannot be purified, and that purity of chanting, it removes the obstacles of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Please continue to chant. Hari Bol. I hope that's enough.
So yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu, that you talked about how we can, if we chant, that it'll help us in our devotional life, it'll remove obstacles, and at some point it'll become spontaneous if we're doing it properly as well.
Yes.
Of course, many of you will know, Vijayalal Prabhu needs no introduction, but he is like the Harinam king of ISKCON Manchester, and we absolutely love his Harinam Kirtans. They're very energetic, always makes everyone dance, and he's very encouraging, especially in Harinams and Kirtans. So thank you very much, Vijayalal Prabhu, for that.
Thank you very much. And that's this lockdown, yes, has really, it's stunted our ability to do that. Hari Hari.
Yeah. As soon as lockdown's over, Prabhu, we'd love to do Harinam with you again.
Yes, Prabhu. Hari Bol, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your enthusiasm, for continuing to take this Pandava Sena forward, and for dedicating so much time at your young age, and all the other Pandava Sena devotees that in this young age, to give so much time to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is a sublime blessing. So we're very fortunate to have such youngsters in our mission. Hare Krishna.
It's only by the mercy of the devotees, Prabhu, that we're able to do that. So thank you so much, Vijayalal Prabhu. Thank you so much, Shami and Gaurahari, for the wonderful kirtan. Really, really enjoyed it. And now I'd like to also ask if Radha Mohan Prabhu is here as well. Radha Mohan Prabhu.
Yes, I'm there.
Just to speak a couple of words on, again, the glories of the holy name, and to encourage us in chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much, Sumedh, and all our Pandava Sena devotees. My obeisance to all of you for organizing this wonderful event of glorifying the holy name. This is the greatest benediction one can have, to be associated in organizing a program where holy name is glorified. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. So the holy name glorification, when I was asked to speak, I was just while I was requested, at that time I was reading one kind of article where in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is explained that this Kali Yuga is an ocean of fault. There is, in this Kali Yuga, this current age of quarrel and hypocrisy, it has got no good quality. But there is one great quality, that simply by chanting the name of Krishna, one can get all the perfection. And when we talk about all the perfections, these are the perfections when during the Satyuga, to achieve this perfection, one has to do meditation for at least 60,000 years. Or in Treta Yuga, one has to do very elaborate fire sacrifices for months and months, using immense quantity of wealth. And the perfection achieved during the Dwapar Yuga, with worshipping the deities with lots and lots of rules and regulation. But the same benefit can be achieved in the Kali Yuga simply by chanting the name of Krishna. Actually, this Kali Yuga has got no qualification. But this one benediction, simply by chanting Hare Krishna, simply by chanting the name of the Lord, all the perfection is achieved. And our acharyas, in our scriptures, the holy name is so much glorified in the Kali Yuga. It is so much glorified that Mahaprabhu himself, the Krishna himself, comes into this material world to inaugurate this Sankirtan movement. And what he's asking is asking simply chant the name of Krishna. Krishna is our father, Krishna is our mother, Krishna is our dhana pran. He's our his wealth and he's our life and soul. So, but when this benediction is given, it comes up with one little danger, and this danger is very very dangerous. Danger is very dangerous. The danger is that because the holy name is so easily available that we lose the value of chanting the holy name. We think that it is. I've been chanting for all these years. Dude has been chanting all over the time, and it's been going for all the time. Nowadays we have in the phones we have the kirtan going on, in the TV and in the computer we have the holy name going on. And when something is given very easily and very in abundance, then we lose the value for it. So this is a danger that we come across. But from time to time, we have to get together, and we have to hear from the realized soul to understand the value of Harinam Sankirtan. So just to have a couple of points, with all your permissions, I'll just mention those. So when Lord Chaitanya came, he composed this Shikshashtakam in the glorification of the holy name, and he mentions the first line, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that by this chanting of the holy name, the dust on the accumulate on our mind, on our heart, it is immediately cleansed away. Now, this is just the first effect happens as soon as one chants the holy name. But for this, our heart to be cleaned, it is not an ordinary thing. To clear our heart and mind with all the contamination that you accumulate from their birth after birth, it is not very easy to clean. For thousands and thousands of years of meditation or fire sacrifices and deity worship, it will be difficult in other ages to clean our heart and mind with that contamination. But in the Kali Yuga, just by chanting the holy name, the mind is completely cleared. And in the next line, Mahaprabhu says, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. That this world is like a forest fire, and we are all suffering. But the Krishna's holy name comes as a very soothing rain cloud, and it extinguishes that Bhava Mahadavagni, that forest fire. So these are just the two immediate benefit, of chanting the holy name, which is very difficult to achieve. Bhava Mahadavagni, to come out of the cycle of birth and death, it is very rare. It requires lots and lots of effort on our part, and also requires the mercy of our Guru and Krishna. And when everything comes together, then one is released from the cycle of birth and death. But in this age of Kali, simply by chanting the holy name, one is released. Of course, one has to take the shelter of a Guru and achieve the mercy of Krishna. But that mercy of Krishna and the benediction of spiritual master comes very easily when we start chanting the holy name of the Lord. And then I would like to narrate one small pastime. Maybe you all have heard about the glory of the holy name. Now we just mentioned that chanting the Lord's holy name, it is so potent, that when it is given very freely, we lose the value for it. So we all know the story of Valmiki, who wrote the Ramayana. So Valmiki, before he became Valmiki Rishi, he was a hunter, and being engaged uh, uh, in that profession of hunting, his heart was so much polluted, so much polluted. His whole life, his existence was so much polluted that when Narad Muni, his guru, asked him to chant the name of Ram, he could not pronounce the name Ram. Can we imagine, a life which is so much polluted, where he can't even pronounce a very simple, very easy to pronounce holy name, Ram. This name is so easy to pronounce that even somebody without a tongue, even he can pronounce it. It is so easy to pronounce. But that the Valmiki in that stage of life, he could not even pronounce the name Ram. Uh, so the Narad Muni, being very merciful to him, he said, "Okay, you can't pronounce the name Ram. You chant the name Mara." And Mara, because he was in the business of killing, and in Sanskrit, Mara means to die or to kill. And this name, Valmiki, was easy to recite. So he says Mara, 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 Mara. But then eventually that Mara became Ram. As he was chanting Mara, Mara, that became Ram. So this is the potency of the holy name, where the Mara becomes Ram. Actually, in a technical term, he started with a Namabhas. Namabhas means just the impression of the name. It was not really the holy name. But the Namabhas, lifted a very polluted existence of a Valmiki. He's been killing the animals for years and years and years. And he was so polluted, so much engrossed in that sinful life. But the holy name, saved him. So just by chanting the name of Mara, which is the impression, a very vague impression of name Ram, that saved Valmiki. So this is the power and the effect of the Lord's holy name. That even the impression of the Lord, the Namabhas, can save one's existence. So many years back, when His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was giving a class, he was saying that Lord's holy name is not only potent in Kali Yuga, it is potent in every yuga, be it Satyuga, Treta, Dwapar. Because this pastime of Valmiki, it happened in the age of Treta Yuga, at the time of Lord Ram. At that time, the prescribed method of cleanliness or cleaning one's existence was fire sacrifice. But Valmiki didn't do any fire sacrifice. He just chanted the name of Ram, not even Ram, the impression of Ram. So the Lord's holy name, it is potent in every age. It is not in Kali Yuga. Lord Chaitanya says, that Lord has invested all his potency in his holy name. So that potency is there in all the ages, be it Satyuga, Treta, or Kali Yuga. In all the ages, the potency is there. We only have to just go and access the potency of the holy name. So we are in this current age of year 2020, in this Kali Yuga, in this city of Manchester and UK, and within the epidemic of coronavirus. The whole existence is so polluted. But we have this greatest benediction that no matter what happens, the devotees, they can come together, and simply chant the name of Ram and Krishna. This can save us from the greatest, calamity. But the qualification required is that we should be sincere and serious. The Lord's holy name is very merciful. That if it can save Valmiki in the Treta Yuga, then it can definitely save us. The polluted people of Kali Yuga with the holy name, where it is a Yuga Dharma. Actually, it is a prescribed method of worshipping the Lord. So
Prabhuji,
we
Prabhuji, can I just ask, sorry to interrupt you, can I just ask a little question? A lot of the time these people ask this question that we're hearing so many pastimes, and we've seen as well many examples of devotees, they're telling they're very elevated and they're very senior, and we can see through their example as well that the holy name has worked. But sometimes when we're doing chanting, for example, often the mind goes here and there, and so I'm a lot of times people say, I feel like I've hit a dead end. I'm not going anywhere. So how can you explain that we can progress in the chanting as well? How can we see that development as well?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sumedh. Very, very thoughtful question. As we just explained, that this Kali Yuga is full of faults. There is no peace, there is no tranquility, there is no cleanliness. It's completely filthy and polluted age. And to be infected by the contamination of this world is very, very natural. But we as a sadhaka, as the aspiring devotee of the Lord, how do we come out of this? So first and foremost, which all our acharyas have stressed so much, is the sadhu sangha, the association. We may not have the attraction to chant the Lord's holy name very sincerely. We may not even have the taste to chant. We might have to drag ourselves to chant. But when we go in the association of a devotee, a self-realized advanced devotee, when he is chanting and when we chant along with him, then we'll get all the inspiration, all the strength to chant that holy name. It is said, the association is very contagious. When we see a person who is very sincerely chanting, then we get, because of his sincere chanting, when we hear the Lord's holy name coming from his mouth and it enters into our ear, that virus is spread to make it more contemporary example. And we are infected with that pure holy name. And with that infection, we can, and then we can associate as much as possible with the advanced devotee. And then we are not with the advanced devotee. When you're on our own, then we should practice, very sincerely, that yes, that association was very good. Now let me practice it, while I'm not within the association. But as much as possible, we should be in that, very holy association, where that devotee or group of devotee, they have a taste for the holy name. And the other thing we can say is that sometimes we might not have, that opportunity of associating with the advanced devotee. Then we should, piteously, we should fall at the feet of the Lord. We should be very honest with the Lord, and pray to Him that, my Lord, I have no taste. I'm struggling. Please help me. And Lord will reciprocate. So these are just some of my thoughts.
Thank you very much.
I should ask some other devotee also about this question. They might be able to give better answer.
No, thank you very much, Radha Mohan Prabhu. For those of you that don't know, I'm saying this as if no one knows. Everyone knows who Radha Mohan Prabhu is, but Radha Mohan Prabhu is, he works in IT, and of course, his son is the giant himself, Balaram, the amazing Mridanga player, who I don't know if he's on the call or not today, but he's very busy. And so Radha Mohan Prabhu is very senior devotee in the congregation, and he's always, even I remember since I was a little kid, he's been telling the same things over and over and over again, and he's been repeating them, and he's got that still same enthusiasm. So thank you very much, Radha Mohan Prabhu, for taking your time out to just speak a couple nice words. I learned a lot from that about the cleansing potency and the power of the holy name that we often take for granted, just in the example of Valmiki. And then the Lord has invested all his potency in the holy name, and we need to be sincere and serious. And finally, that Kali Yuga is an ocean of misery ocean of faults, and we are all polluted in this day and age of quarrel and hypocrisy. But by the chanting of the holy name, we can come out of it. So thank you very much, Radhamur Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Sumedh. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And so next on the schedule, I believe we have Her Grace Vinavadini Mataji, if she's on. Vinavadini Mataji. And if for those of you, well, everyone knows that Vinavadini Mataji is sort of one of the reasons why Pandava Sena even exists. Vinavadini Mataji and Anandru Prabhu, they inaugurated Pandava Sena Manchester Pandava Sena in Manchester, and so we wouldn't be here without them. And take it away. Over.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the introduction, Sumedh. I hope all is well, and thank you for listening. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitya Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishtarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Srinivadi Mataji, thank you so much, Anu Prabhu and Geeta Mataji. So, Mataji, Srinivadi Mataji, just before I let you go, one last thing, I'm keeping you on. Just before I let you go, I'd like to just ask you to say one or two things about the importance of the holy name, especially for the youth. So,
I'll let Ananda Prabhu say some words because he knows more than me.
I don't know. importance of Harinam in this day and age, well, it is very important to begin with. That's the only way we will get free of all the karma, and we will get free of all the Maya that's around us, and will keep us focused on the right path and right track. Unfortunately, it's very disturbing at the minute that people are not taking shelter of holy name, and we are not going on the street doing Sankirtan like we used to. And I hope that this stress in the world, coronavirus, get finished soon, and then we are back on the street and distributing the holy name. It is very important in this time to do our sadhana, to do our practices, so that when we go out on the streets, it'll be full of power, full of energy, and then people can take benefit. But that's it. That's all I can speak. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Anand, for that wonderful insight as well. Thank you again, Veeramani Mataji, for what amazing kirtan. I always trust Veeramani Mataji to do an amazing kirtan anyway. So thank you very much. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. And so next we have to speak Dayanand Maharaj, but I don't know whether he's actually going to be on or not, because he just messaged me saying running a little bit late because they are trying to do Harinam right now in Manchester. And so instead, I'd just like to talk a little bit about the importance of Holy Name Week and the Fortunate People campaign, which is going on right now. So the Fortunate People campaign is basically an aim to try and get 1% of the population at least to chant the holy name of the Lord, to be involved in chanting or to chant in some way, shape or form. So anyone who has social media, just post a video of yourself saying, I don't know, for example, mine would be, I'm Sumedh, I'm from Manchester, and this is my offering to the Fortunate People campaign, and then just sing or chant the holy name of the Lord, and then nominate 5 other people to do so as well. And this initiative is run by Lokanath Maharaj mainly, and inspired by him, and he wants to try and push more and more people to chant the holy name of the Lord and to become more and more involved as well in getting other people to chant, which is because, as Radhamohan Prabhu said, it's not just to purify, Dinabandhu Prabhu said, it's not just to purify us, but it's also there so we can purify those around us and also get them involved, because some people are less fortunate in the sense that they don't have this mantra or this capability of chanting. And also those small living entities and insects and plants and other creatures around us, they don't have the facility to chant. So it's really important that we do the chanting of the holy name for them as well. And also I'd like to talk a little bit about the importance of chanting as well as doing kirtan. So it's amazing that we can, one of the powers or the wonderful things about this holy name is that it can be done in the form of chanting, and it can also be done in the form of kirtan. So when we talk about japa, that's when we sit and we chant with the bead bag and the beads, and we chant the holy name of the Lord in a much more serious mood, with the mentality that we should try and improve and we can serve the Lord. We're asking the Lord, please, can you give me, engage me in your devotional service. And then again in the kirtan, we can use these musical instruments in again the service of the Lord. So it's again another form of dovetailing or spiritualizing our activities. Instead of doing mundane music or being involved in mundane things, we can use this music to engage in the chanting of the holy name. And there's actually one verse which is given in Srimad Bhagavatam by Narad Muni, where he talks a little bit about Lord Krishna gives him the veena, or he's gifted the veena by the Lord, and he talks about the Sare Gama Pada Nisa, these notes, these musical notes, when they're used in chanting of the holy name and glorifying the Lord, they're actually very powerful, and they can help remove a lot of our sinful activities and other sort of anarthas within the heart, or the problems that we have, or the obstacles we have. So a lot of what I've taken from what other people are saying, I'm not qualified to speak myself, but from what other people have said, we just talked a little bit about the importance of chanting, why is it important to chant, and then why we should chant out loud rather than just keeping it in our mind, because when we chant out loud, we help purify other living entities as well. Then Radha Mohan Prabhu talked about how, Kalir Doshna Dirajan, there's only this Kali Yuga has an ocean of faults, but there's this one good quality, which is that we can chant the holy name of the Lord, and that will help elevate us. And then we finally just talked a little bit about importance again of chanting in Harinam and sharing this Mahamantra with others instead of just keeping it to ourselves. And I think Dayanand Maharaj is on the call now. So Maharaj, if you are here, please do enlighten us with a few words for a couple of minutes. Rubal? Maharaj, you're on mute, I think.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Maharaj.
Okay, so welcome everybody. So this is we're talking about what they call the activity for this age. So many activities have been invented, and every day they're changing. And as time goes on, the whole face of the planet starts to alter. But people are using their imagination to try and imagine or trying to work out what is beneficial. And so we have to take advice from persons in knowledge. So if you want to be cured of a particular disease, then we have to go to a good physician. So it's same in every science. The science for this age, or the spiritual science, is dealing with the soul, not the body. The body will eventually be finished. Ashes thou art, dust thou will be. So our real interest is in our eternal nature. And so this chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the panacea or the medicine for curing people's disease. What's the disease? The disease is they've forgotten their real constitutional position. The constitutional position is to be full of happiness and bliss. And so people are making all these arrangements to try and, experience that long lost feeling. But it's all based on material assumptions that with the body, this world is eternal. We can carry on, through our children. But actually, these are not satisfying. Even though we may leave this world, we're going to carry on our legacy through our offspring and through our generations to come. But who cares? One of the most famous people in the world, after a few short years, they're forgotten forever. I remember when I was young, it used to be the Beatles. They were unbelievably famous. And then after 20 years, I was asking people, some people, they don't even know who they are. And in another 20, 30, 40 years, it'll just be something in history. So this is a place of names. It's prominent for some time and then it's gone. Shakespeare said the whole world is a stage and we're all play actors on that stage. So, when we come away from a play, we go back to our real life. So this is what this human form of life is meant for. We're in a play, we're all in different costumes, some black, some white, some young, some old. But it's nothing to do with our real nature. And then at the end of this lifetime, we change costumes again. So this is a great shame. We don't even know what sort of costume we're going to get. Is it going to be a human body, animal body? The eternal soul who's eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge, experiencing ever increasing happiness, is limited by this misconception of who he is. So this brings us to the point, what's the cure? What's the panacea? The panacea is a chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Whatever name we have, them chant, glorify the source of creation. We are actually part of that source, but we're actually meant for service. And so this chanting of the holy name, it petitions the Supreme Lord to engage us back in his service instead of the service of everything in this material world. Everybody's serving in different capacities. We can't avoid it. Husband serving wife, wife serving husband, children serving parents, parents serving children, artisans serving the middle class serving the upper class. But that service never brings the happiness we want. So we just start to give people a taste for something which is completely different. We're actually, by doing this, we're actually a real friend. So we can't actually underestimate this. It's what they call the Sankirtan movement. San means complete and Kirtan means glorification. When we glorify in the association of others, other devotees, it's called Kirtan. But when we actually go out and give the chanting to others, then it's called Sankirtan, complete, San. And so two ways, we either go out and we chant the holy name, or we distribute literatures which explain this science. And if we do that, we cannot do anything higher. Whatever we can actually conceive of, this is the highest activity in creation. So we should be very, very grateful for this opportunity to, distribute something which is priceless. The story of Sanatana Goswami. He was there was one person, he was very materialistic, and he went to some sage. He said, "What's the most valuable thing I can achieve?" And the sage said, "Well, if you go to Sanatana Goswami, he's a very elevated soul. He'll be able to tell you that." So they went to Sanatana Goswami, and he said, "Oh, you want something, the most valuable thing in the world? Oh, well, go and look in that rubbish pile over there, and there's a touchstone. Anything you touch that stone to, it will turn into gold." Oof. He couldn't believe it. What a benediction. So he ran over it, found the touchstone, and then he said, "Thank you very much," and it was on his way. And then as he was walking home, he spoke to some people, and he told them of his benediction. And they said, "Well, have you ever thought, why did he keep it in the rubbish heap? If it's so valuable, why did he put it in the rubbish heap?" And he started thinking, actually, they're right. Maybe it's not the most valuable thing. And so he went back, and he said, "You said you'd give me the most valuable thing, but why did you keep it in the rubbish?" He said, "You're right, you're very intelligent." He said, "Do you want the most valuable thing?" He said, "Yes, yes." He said, "Well, put that back, go and throw that touchstone in the river." And so he was thinking, "Oh, I don't know." His faith was stretched. So anyway, he decided to follow his instruction. He threw it in the river. When he came back, he gave him the holy name. So it's more valuable than unlimited touchstones. So we should all take shelter of this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, and then we should become a touchstone for everybody we meet, and we should make their life very auspicious. In that way, we become very dear to Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, and our success in spiritual life is assured just by this one activity, Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name and giving it to others. So just now, you just called me before I went. I'm just going into the centre of Manchester, where in Piccadilly Gardens we're going to do some Sankirtan. So yeah. I was thinking, I don't feel so well today. I've got a cold, and I thought actually this is just what I need. I go and hear the holy name, I'll be dancing again. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for listening, everybody. But please take this. There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says where Shukadeva Goswami speaking to Maharaj Pariksit, he said that this Sankirtan movement is the most auspicious activity in the whole universe. Try to understand this and take it seriously, so that everybody else can actually take advantage of it. So our duty is to try and imbibe the real benefit of this chanting by chanting ourselves. And in due course of time, we'll see how material miseries and our attachments start to melt away, and we start to become situated on the spiritual platform. And then we're able to actually really help others. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for enlightening us. Maharaj explained that the gist of what I took anyway was that this is everything else that we do is temporary, but this holy name is permanent. It's the panacea. It's the cure for all, and it's the most valuable thing. Maharaj gave that story of Sanatana Goswami. It's the most valuable thing, and so we shouldn't take it for granted. So thank you so much, Maharaj. I know you're very busy, so thank you for giving us your time as well and enlightening us. And finally, I believe now we have Sai Gadvi. Sai, are you on? Sai Prabhu?
Haribo. Hare Krishna. Thank you for having me and thank you for having us. Thank you again, Maharaj, for the lovely talk. So, do you want me to begin with Kirtan now?
Yes, please proceed ahead with the Kirtan.
Thanks, Sumedh. Thanks again for the Manchester devotees here. It's lovely to be with you all to do some Kirtan to end this program. I'm luckily joined by some friends here, which you can't see in the frame, but they'll be helping me facilitate some Kirtan. So please, everyone in the homes, even though we can't be present together doing Kirtan, please try and engage and try and sing along as well. Name Week Ki Jai.
Jai.
Hi, Gaurav Pramanand.
Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Sai Prabhu. For those of you that don't know, Sai, thank you very much, Sai, and everyone else from London as well. For those of you that don't know, I luckily met Sai through Balaram, because Balaram met him in Paris on the Sena Getaway, I think, which was in New Mayapur at the time. He's a really great devotee. He's very talented, and he's also very humble at the same time. So thank you very much to Sai. And finally, we now bring this program to a close. We learned a lot about the holy name. Everyone performed so nicely in Kirtan and facilitated us wonderfully. And we also heard about how important it is to chant the holy name, how cleansing it is, how it acts as a panacea and cure for all, and also about how it's important that as well as chanting it so that we can develop ourselves, we also need to chant in Sankirtan to help everyone else as well. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who helped facilitate today. Thank you to everyone who helped organize, and thank you to everyone who came and joined. And we should see you hopefully next Sunday for the normal Sunday Feast program in ISKCON Manchester. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.